Well, here we are again in the heart of Song. I'm Ray, and today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how I got here. Not the particulars of the move, or what, how I planned it, or the company that I hired to, move some of my stuff out here, that kind of thing. What I want to talk to you about is how I got here. And it started in my heart. And I often tell people with just a little bit of exaggeration that I'm in heaven and I didn't even have to die to get here. I do love it here. And if you love nature, and if you want to connect with nature, and you want to really feel life, and you want to be part of it, then maybe you want to hear what I have to say. 7 years ago, I would have told you you were bananas if you'd told me that I would be living in the Midwest on 3 acres, mostly wooded, and that I had the opportunity to start developing food forest, also known as a forest garden. That was far, far from my life at the time. It was in my dreams. It's what I wanted, although I didn't know about the Midwest part. I just had felt this longing probably for most of my life to be in a place where I could learn and experiment and connect with nature in such a way that my needs are provided for and that I could actually do some good to the land around me. I knew that that's what I wanted, but it was kind of vague. It was just, I had that longing. And maybe you had that longing too. If you have heard about permaculture, you've heard about regenerative living, or maybe you haven't heard those words at all, but you want to live more in harmony with nature, and you want to get out in the sunshine, and you want to eat food, straight off the vine, or pick fruit right off the branch and snack on things as you walk around. If you want to let nature provide you with nourishment, medicine as needed, and you just want to let go of some of that anxiety that you have about not feeling, quite part of the natural world, or quite part of how maybe life ought to be. And I want to just give you the highlights of my story here. Like I said, about 7 years or so ago, I was relatively happy. I had a good life, and did things, and took care of stuff, and was getting along all right. You'll hear the rustling of cats, of course, in the background here. And then someone asked me to help them move back to the Midwest. And I have a van. I drive a little van, and I could help. Sure, I can help you move back out there. It'd take a few days. And I crossed the state line, and suddenly I just had this feeling that I was home. Now, there are more details to that, but pretty much I helped move someone to the Midwest, and it just immediately felt, I think my words to myself were, I could live here. This is where I could live. This feels like home. And that feeling just increased the more time I spent out here. That wasn't the only trip I made. I came out again and again, until I finally realized that it was time for me to make that move. It was a 750-mile move. It would involve moving my little mini homestead all the way out here, and it was during the pandemic. But I did it, and there were times that it felt like moving heaven and earth, and there were times that it felt like walking over hot coals barefoot. And I did it. Yeah, I had help, some hired and a little bit of volunteer. But I got here, and I just started living my life here. Now, I've got a certificate in permaculture design from Jeff Lawton. I have a certificate in farm and small municipal scale composting. I have the education, the credentials, and experience. I already had that behind me. But I didn't have a place where I could really apply so much of what I had learned, and on my own place. Now, I'd helped other people. I'd helped farmers and others figure some things out with conservation and with making their pastures and woodlands and crop fields healthier. But I hadn't had my own place quite like this before. And so this was a dream come true. And let me tell you from my experience, I don't know if anybody else has this experience. Let me know in the comments that sometimes when your dreams come true or your dream comes true, there's a little bit of scary to it. Just a little bit of scary. You know, some of the scary is, what do I do now? Uh-oh. You know, it's kind of like you've been pushing on a door and pushing on a door, and it finally opens. And you just, sometimes fall flat on your face because you've been pushing so hard and you don't expect it to ever give. Well, sometimes the doors open up. And so one of the things I've learned is about getting myself up and dusting myself off and taking the next step. So this channel, certainly this series of videos, is going to be little bite-sized bits of encouragement. Mostly what I want to do is encourage and inspire you, because everybody's in a different place. Everybody's in a different starting place. We're at different points along the journey. Some of you are considerably younger than I am, and some of you are my age or even a little older. And what I want to say is, among other things, I want to say it's not too late, it's not too early. And I've heard this said before, and it didn't make sense to me before, but I'm going to tell you, you're right on time. And what you do isn't going to look just like what anybody else does. And I especially want to tell you that you're not the only person who just feels like a mere mortal. There are people out in the world and people making content who are so remarkable, and they are just taking, the permaculture and regenerative space to new heights, and that is needed and that is wonderful. And some of them are dear friends of mine. And then there are those of us who are just the mere mortals. We're committed, happily committed, to some other things, caring for people or critters or a place, devoted to our jobs that we have right now. And so is there any room in regenerative permaculture for us? Yeah, because I have other stuff going on too. And that is one of the challenges is, you make the balance. Critters need to be fed and cared for. The barn needs to be tidied up. I call it room service. Older friends, relatives, neighbors need to be checked up on and need someone to spend some time with them. And maybe they're not strong enough to, go on a hike through the woods. Maybe they just need someone to sit with them and have a cup of tea. And that's good and that's fine, and I do that stuff. So what I'm doing here is nurturing a food forest, and it's going at its own pace. The first 2 videos I put up on this channel were just, quick panoramics. Look at this. Isn't this lovely? It's lovely if you know what it's about. It might look just like a jumble if you're not used to it. But what I wanted to say is, pardon the distraction of the kitties growling. You can get there. You can move closer to your dream. You can incorporate permaculture principles and regenerative living principles into your life, even in an urban setting. Now, where I am is rural. And so those of you who are in a rural area or even kind of a sparsely populated semi-suburban area, there's going to be a little bit more that pertains to where you live as I talk about things going on here. But regardless of where you are, what age you are, you can do some of this stuff. You can take that step. You can get a little bit closer, and you can gain quite a bit of satisfaction and peace from doing so. And that's what I want to encourage you to do as we go on this little storytelling journey over the next few weeks. Just remember, what I want for you is for you to get a hold of what's next in connecting with nature, in learning how to incorporate permaculture into your life. And there's something you can start with, right now, this minute, which is cut yourself a break today. Just relax. Don't try to set up a 5-point plan. Don't get your calendar out. Just don't. What I want you to do is just relax and think about the kinds of things that you like in nature. Just think about them. Would you like to grow garlic? Would you like to grow flowers, herbs? Would you like to have the satisfaction of recognizing medicinal plants, or any kind of plant for that matter, knowing what all the trees are, and what is it about connecting with nature that you picture in your mind? And I want you to just take a time out, even if you have to go into your room or close yourself in the bathroom to get away from the ones that are tugging at your sleeve for just a couple minutes, and just think about, boy, that would be nice. That would be nice. And it can be a little thing. I recommend starting with little things. It could be a grand thing. It's you. It's your dream. Yes, I live out in the country. Target practice. So just think about those things today. That's all I would ask you to do, is start thinking about some little something that makes you feel connected to nature. And just enjoy that. This is Ray from the Heart of Wren Song. I look forward to talking to you next time.